Hi, welcome to the Forum Report. My name is Tina, and today we'll be going through the standout moments from the first SUBstage Forum. The first SUBstage Forum took place today at 12 p.m., lasting less than the permitted 2 hours, and was a little lacking in questions for the candidates. Some of the highlights include the Board of Governors representatives parsing out how they might reduce or halt tuition increases for students, the VPSL candidates' plans for addressing sexual assault on campus, and the presidential candidates' unwillingness to acknowledge the sitting president's mistakes. The Board of Governors representatives battled over how they would reduce tuition for students. Albert Hu presented a potential solution while Dave Conrad lacked any ideas beyond advocacy. Endowment funds are donated to the university from external sources, and the average investment return since 1989 is 9.6%. In 2018, the Board of Governors passed a policy that said only 4% of the endowment investment return can be spent. The remainder is reinvested in the endowment to promote fiscal growth. Albert Hu wants to spend all the money gained by interest in the endowment and not reinvest money to grow the future interest. Dave Conrad said the endowment fund is only one solution. He said money could be found elsewhere and that we need to continue to advocate to the provincial government.
But I do want to grow the endowment in a different way, okay?
Hu's change is a bold idea but requires him to push the board to amend its policy. This is not an understatement. The board does not like changing its policy, and it takes a long time. When the board created this policy in 2018, it was after a long, comprehensive review with stakeholders. Also, if Hu wants to spend the average 9%, this means it will be $126 million. That is not nearly enough money to lower tuition for all students. The hiring of a university sexual assault coordinator was at the center of the Vice President's student life race. Current Students' Union VPSL Jared Larson asked the candidates how they would go about finally getting this much-needed sexual assault coordinator, especially since past efforts have fallen short. Bold claims were made. Candidate Katie Kidd said the Dean of Students does not care about the issue. Alongside calling for a provincial inquiry into sexual assault on campus, a promise we've heard across multiple races multiple times this election, Kidd says she would collect the written stories of survivors to bring to the apparently uncaring Dean of Students.
Students does not care. He does not think this is a real issue. He does not think survivors are impacted the way they are. So I have a tangible plan to make him care.
In contrast, Talia Dixon said the stories of sexual assault survivors are already out there. They're just not heard. Instead, Dixon wants to apply both internal and external pressure to the university, and if that isn't enough, Dixon wants to take the issue into her own hands. If a sexual assault coordinator isn't hired by the university, Dixon says she will make sure the Students' Union does it themselves. When the presidential candidates were asked, what, if anything, would you change about the past year of the presidential role, the candidates seemed to flounder for a response. The two candidates who are currently on the SU executive, Luke Statt and Joel Egerwall, seemed to avoid the question, and only Statt actually stated even one thing he would change. For whatever reason, the two seem unwilling to criticize the current SU president, Akansha Bhatnagar, even when it could directly harm their campaign not to. And given that students haven't exactly been receptive to Bhatnagar's accomplishments this year, they may want to reconsider their approach.
I think she was a stellar president, and I don't think she got the credit she deserved in the role she was in. My only critique this entire year is just the responsiveness to the budget 2019, and the only reason that was responded to quickly is because Akansha was out of the country.
Yiming Chen's response, on the other hand, came off as an excuse to promote her idea of implementing a feedback system. She said that we need to focus more on student opinions, which may be true, but implementation of this idea could be tricky. All three of the presidential candidates avoided the meat of the question, which was, at its core, about what they would have done differently. Whether it was relationship to the current president and SU, promoting their own ideas, or just straying away entirely, no one sufficiently answered this question. That's all for this edition of the Forum Report. The next forum the Gateway will be covering will be taking place tomorrow at 12 p.m. on SUBstage. See you then.